Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good morning and welcome to Adith Emmanuel on this wonderful Saturday morning, our Shabbat, where we're delighted when we call one of our own, Micah Aronow, to the Torah in honor of his becoming a bar mitzvah. We welcome those who are here in the sanctuary in person and those who are watching us through what I call the blessing of technology. And it might look like we are on stage and those of you who are sitting in the seats are the audience, but that's not the case. We're really all one community, and so we invite your participation. So if you don't already have one, I invite you to take a Siddur, our prayer book, which you can find in the seats in front of you. It's the thin blue book. And as we announce the pages, please note that they are in the brackets, the bracketed number. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rabbi Amy Memis-Foler, along with our cantorial leader, Sandy Messenger-Aguilar, and our accompanist, Herb Malamut. The three of us are really just here to help Micah as he leads us in prayer this morning. And we encourage everyone to participate, especially if I'm singing or Sandy is reading. That's a key for you to join in as well. When God was speaking to Moses at Mount Sinai, God said to Moses, "This is a holy and sacred occasion. Speak to the Israelites and say to them, this is a holy and sacred occasion. Be sure that your cell phones are turned to the off or silent position." And thus Moses spoke to the Israelites and said to them, "Be sure that your cell phones are turned to the off or silent positions." And the Israelites took their phones out and they checked and double-checked them, even if they thought that they had left them in the tent that morning. And so it was. And that is why today we do not know what it was like at Mount Sinai when God gave the Torah to Moses and the Jewish people. Seriously, folks, if you need to use your electronic device, we ask that you don't take photography or don't text during the service, but if you do need to use it, please step out into the foyer and hopefully you'll be able to join us back in the sanctuary as soon as possible. We turn now in our Siddur, in our prayer book, to page 128 in the brackets, opening with Ma Yafeh Hayom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Ma Yafeh Hayom.
Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom.
We continue reading responsively on page 287, page 287.
We give thanks to you, O God, for this Shabbat day, which unites us as a community of faith and hope.
For the holiness of Shabbat,
Fill the best that is in us, we give thanks. For the memories of Shabbat enriched by generations of our people who observed it and from it drew courage to face hardship and light to banish darkness, we are grateful.
we offer thanks for the peace of Shabbat,
the day consecrated to family love. O God, our turning to you exalts our humanity. You are the joy of our life, the source of its greatness, its power, and its beauty. Help us, O God, to find inspiration for the coming week. Help us to find peace within ourselves and one another. At this time, it's my pleasure to call to the Bima Micah's parents, Phil and Kirsten to present Micah with his talit. As we turn in our prayer books to page 288.
As I wrap myself in the talit, I fulfill the mitzvah of my Creator. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu l'hit'atef ba'asitit.
Amen.
May my life be one link in a chain of goodness as I say the prayers of my ancestors. Help me to recall their devotion and faithfulness, their joy and suffering, which are in every word. Holiness is my heritage. May I be worthy of it. May our tradition live in me and pass from me to generations I shall never know, enriched by the truth that I found and the good deeds I have done. So may I fulfill my task on earth and receive my blessing. And when the service ends and the prayers have ceased, help me to bring their spirit into the world in which I live. May I love God above all, and my neighbor as myself, and be a living witness to the truth that never changes.
We continue on page 290, 290. On page 291. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life. Were one of them to fail, how well we are aware, we would lack the strength to sustain life before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofei chol basar umafli la'asot. We continue on page 293.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasech v'zina, le'avchin ben yom uvein laila.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, rokah haaretz al hamayim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamekin misadei gaber.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten layav koach.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hama'avir shena me'enai, utnuma me'af apai.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shasani b'tselem Elohim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorin.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shasani Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael bigvura.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael betifara.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Please turn to page 313 and rise for the call to worship. Baruch et Adonai hamvorach, Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due for now and forever. The world is sunlight, restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes, more welcome than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning. My Torah, my special human gift, is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, who redeemed the sun from darkness. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. We read responsively. O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. In every land and every age, your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity.
We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully we remember that from the dawn of Israel's life we would turn to you and find purpose.
May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds, and their passion for righteousness stir our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod, Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. Please turn to page 319. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'chol nafshecha u'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzabecha hayom al levavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshoch becha uvkumecha ukshartam leod al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uftavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kiroshim le'elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzetiechem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
We continue on page 321 as we read together. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lo dosei vele, norati lo dosei vele. Shira kadosha shimichu kiulim, nishkos vatayom, yakar kulam hodu, v'imlichu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed.
We continue on page 323. As we are able, we rise for tefillah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi ad gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Socher Haste Avothim Ahot, U'Mevii Gula Livnei Bneihem, Le'ma'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Umakin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Vizrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaya Kol Atav Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatah, Mechalkeh HaChayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Beracham Bimramim, Somech Noflim Berofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimit Umekaye, Umatmi Ageshua, V'ne'eman ata lechachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמם, ככתוב על יד נביאיך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך Adir, adirenu Adonai, adadinu matir shimcha bechol haaretz, Baruch kivod Adonai mimbomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu Malkeinu, hu Moshiinu ve'hu Yashmienu, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נכיר כולך, לנצח נצחים קדושת נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
May be seated. As we continue on page 329.
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת בקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת בקוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם ישמעו ויתענגו
As we continue on page 330, it's my pleasure to welcome to the Bema Jack Petney to lead us in this prayer.
On this Shabbat day, as you graciously receive our prayers, help us to hear your call. Grant us enough health to fulfill our duties and the compassion we need to attend to others. Teach us humility that we may perceive our own faults, and grant us the wisdom to be forgiving of others. Give us the courage to be true to our highest selves and the charity to see the best in those around us. Give us patience enough not to become discouraged, hope enough to overcome all fears for the future, and faith enough to know your presence. O source of blessing, look with favor upon us. May our offerings be acceptable to you.
We continue on page 332. It's my pleasure to welcome to the Bema Joel and Tammy Aronow to lead us in this prayer. When we join together in the refrain, Modim Anachnu Lach, that means we give you thanks.
For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations.
For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons.
For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements.
For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression.
For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared.
For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom.
For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. We pray that we may not live by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving.
We continue on page 334.
Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Sim Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael
continue our prayer now silently, whether we are led by the words on the pages of our Siddur through page 337, or other prayers in our prayer book, or those meditations and thoughts in our hearts.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
We turn now in our Siddur to page 363 for Seder Kriyat Torah, for the reading of the Torah. And it is my pleasure to welcome to the Bima to help us open the Ark, Aaron Lusterman, Michael Plasner, Samuel Seidman, and Jack Lai McElroy, as well as Phil and Kirsten for the Chain of Tradition. Page 363. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah, and let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God. We rise.
כי מציון תצא תורה, דבר אדוני בירושלים. כי מציון תצא תורה, דבר אדוני בירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
So Micah, the Torah scroll that I'm holding in my arms is a pretty special one. This is the one that's just a little over a year old because it was written by a scribe, but really by the love and the hands of the people in this congregation who saw that we were in need of a new scroll, especially good for B'nai Mitzvah. And so you're standing here now in a line with your parents, and the other generations that have come before you through the gift of memory, all the way back to Moses at Sinai, when God gave the Torah to the people. And as we stand here today, I think if there had just been one generation that said, we're not going to teach Torah to the next generation, then we couldn't stand here with you today, passing this scroll, Ador Vador, from your parents to you, and now you to hold it in your arms and being responsible to teach and pass the Torah on to the next generation. And so your parents will share these words with you.
Now we pray that you, Micah, may always be worthy of this inheritance. Take its teachings into your heart, and in turn pass it on to your children and those who come after you. May you be a faithful Jew, searching for wisdom and truth, working for justice and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shema, Gadol Adonai, Uniru b'mo Shema Yaktav.
Our Torah portion this Shabbat is Korach, and this morning Micah is going to be reading from that part of the portion in the book of Numbers, chapter 16, verse 19 and following. And if you would like to follow along in the English or Hebrew, you can do so in these larger Torah commentary books that you might find in the seat in front of you or nearby. That's page 1128, Numbers chapter 16, verse 19 and following. And so for the first aliyah to the Torah, we call Philip Feinberg, David Feinberg, Mark Feinberg, Jeffrey Feinberg, and Anna Feinberg. Nala Amod, Pesach Chenya ben Rachmiel Gedulia, David Le ben Rachmiel Gedulia, Mordechai Zeli ben Rachmiel Gedulia, Yehuda Shlomo ben Rachmiel Gedulia, Hadassah levarech ala Torah aliyah rishona. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed. Amen.
Amen. Vayakel alehem korach et kol ha'eta el petach ohel moed vayera chevod Adonai el kol ha'eta vaydaber Adonai el Moshe ve'el Aharon lemor היבדלו מתוך העדה הזאת ואכלה אותם כרגע.
For our second aliyah, we call to the Torah Sherry Ratner and Robert Ratner. Nala amod shluva ve'yitzak levarech ala Torah aliyah shniya.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayipelu al penehem vayomeru El Elohei haruchot lechol basar ha'ish echad yecheta ve'al kol ha'eta tikzov vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el ha'eta lemor halu misaviv lemishkan korach Datan va'aviram.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam nata b'tahenu Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. For our next aliyah, we call Perry Gandelman and Julie Gandelman. Nala Amod, Pesach Elia Vishena, Eliza Livarech ala Torah, aliyah Shlishit.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vahed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayakom Moshe vayelech el Datan va'aviram vayelechu acharav tiknei Israel vaydaber el ha'edah lemor suru na me'ah ohale ha'anashim harshaim ha'ele ve'al tigeu bechol asher lahem pen tisafu bechol hatotam vaye'alu me'al mishkan korach Datan v'haviram misaviv v'ratzan v'haviram yatzeu nitzavim betach ohalehem unshehem uvnehem v'tzapam.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. For our next aliyah, we call to the Torah Phil and Kirsten. Na'ala Amod Pesach Zolman ben Mota Livarech ala Torah aliyah Revi'it.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Moshe V'zot teitehun ki Adonai shelachani la'asot et kol ha'ma'asim ha'ele ki lo milibi im kemot kol ha'adam yamutun ele ufkudat kol ha'adam yipaket alehem lo Adonai shelachani be'im beria yivra Adonai ufateta האדמה את פיה, ובלעה אותם ואת כל אשר להם, וירדו חיים שאולה וידעתם, כי ניאצו האנשים האלה את אדוני.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And for our fifth aliyah, we call to the Torah, our bar mitzvah, Micah, Aronow. Nala amod, Malachi ben Pesach Zomen bar hamitzvah, chazak, v'nit chazek.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haftorah.
Amen.
Vayhi kechaloto ledaber et kol ha'devarim ha'ele v'tibaka ha'adama asher tachtehem v'tiftach ha'aretz et piha v'tivla otam ve'et batehem ve'et kol ha'adam asher lekorach ve'et kol ha'rechush vayertu hem b'chol asher lahem chayim she'ola v'techas alehem haaretz vayovedu mitoch hakahal. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haftorah.
Amen.
Simen tov, mazel tov, is simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, is simen tov, mazel tov, is simen tov. Hey Lord, hey Lord, oh Israel. Hey Lord, oh Israel. Simen tov, mazel tov, is simen tov, mazel tov, is simen tov, mazel tov, is simen tov. Hey Lord.
We turn our thoughts and prayers now to those who are in need of healing, And so we turn in our Siddur to page 371, in the middle of the page. If you're joining us through the blessing of technology and you're thinking of someone who's in need of healing, whether it's a healing of mind or body or spirit, I invite you to add those names to the chat or comments at this time. Those in the sanctuary here in person will have an opportunity to add names after I share with you the following people for whom we're offering blessings of healing in our extended Adith Emmanuel family. Shelley Gable, Orly Boudet, Karen Mora, Brian Zabel, Nick Bod, Alice Oppenheimer, Amanda Fink-Krasner, Deb Nielsen, Moshe Ben Elizabeth the Theodore, Rosalie Middleman, Jennifer Ness, Mel Klein, George Goldstein, Harriet Eisner, Carla Teisch, Linda Drachman, Chaim Ben David, Eileen Davison, Craig Davison, Hugh Morton, Art Bond, Roberta Levine, Jordan Steinberg, Lisa Galda, Ed Crosby, Myra Kaplan, Jeff Schaefer, Lula Ruvuela, Marion Gwirtz, Aaron Tepper, Lily Tepper, Louis Alahat, Tricia Tepper, Carol Schaefer, Mary Mednitsky, Jocelyn Jackson, Jen Jones, Shirley Friedlander, Michael Infanti, Gary Garnick, Ann Marsden, Rick Ulrich, Ileana Cohn, Carol Aronow, Jason Ratner, and others to whom we send our blessings of healing at this time. I invite you to rise, and as my hand passes through the sanctuary, to say their names. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. At this time, it's my pleasure to welcome to the Bima Phil and Carrick, who will lift the Torah as the congregation rises.
וזאת התורה אשר שמושה
Shabbat Shalom. My Haftarah portion is from the book of 1 Samuel. My Haftarah portion is about the Israelites wanting a king. God selects a young man named Saul to be their king, but Samuel reminds the people that God is their true king, and to not question the Eternal's power. My Torah portion relates to my Haftarah portion, and that we see rebellion against the Eternal in both parts. In my Torah portion, we see Korah, Dathan, and Abiram leading a rebellion against God, Moses, and Aaron. In the Haftarah portion, the Israelites thought they needed a king because the Ammonites had a king, and they doubted the power of the Eternal. To follow my Haftarah portion, please turn to page 1267 in the Torah commentary book. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzah b'tivreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avto uv'Yisrael amo uv'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayikra Shemuel el Adonai vayitein Adonai kolot umatar bayom hahu vayera chol ha'am me'od et Adonai ve'et Shemuel vayomeru chol ha'am el Shemuel yitpalel ve'ad avadecha el Adonai Elohecha ve'al namut ki asafnu al kol hatotenu ra'ah lishol lanu melech. Vayomer Shemuel el ha'am al tira'u atem asitem et kol hara hazot ach al tasuru me'acharei Adonai va'advatem et Adonai b'chol levavchem v'lo tasuru ki acharei atohu asher lo yohilu v'lo yatzilu ki tohu ema ki lo yitosh Adonai et amo ba'avor shemo hagadol ki ho'il Adonai la'asot etchem lo li'am. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzor kol ha'olamim tzaddik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh ha'mdaber u'mkayim shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ונמלוכה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Shabbat Shalom. My Torah portion comes from the book of Numbers. In this portion, God is very upset with Korah for going against him and Moses. Korah was mad that Moses gave Aaron a priesthood over him. As a result, Korah riled up 249 others and led a rebellion against the word of God. God, of course, was going to stand for that. God told Moses and Aaron to stand back from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, or he was going to destroy them and the chieftains who followed them. Moses and Aaron pleaded with God not to destroy the followers, since Korah was the real sinner and instigator. After Moses warned the followers to move away from the tents of the original three, God opened the earth, swallowing Korah, Dathan, Abiram, their families, and belongings. The followers then tried running away, but God decimated them with fire. The wrath of God continues the next day when the Israelites challenged Moses and Aaron's authority. Angry, they killed the Lord's people. God wasn't having it. As a result, God started a plague amongst these people, killing 14,700 of them. Korah selfishly wants the priesthood for himself and his family. After Moses gives Aaron the priesthood instead of Korah, Korah accuses Moses of going too far. Korah challenges Moses and states, "Why then do you raise yourselves above the eternal congregation?" Korah then lies to 249 chieftains, using persuasive words to rise up against Moses and Aaron for rebellion. Korah wants all the power and benefit for himself and his family. Korah uses mass propaganda against Moses and Aaron and attempts to usurp the throne. As explained by Rabbi Abraham ibn Ezra, this episode is just an ugly political dispute over the changes Moses initiates concerning the rights of firstborn males. In today's world, Korah's lashing out happens almost every day in the modern world. We have especially been seeing this with celebrities and politicians today. When these personalities see an event isn't going their way, they attempt to tear down the winners. They do this so they can feed their delusion that they are the best in their field. For example, when a politician doesn't win an election, they whip up their followers into a frenzy on social media platforms. They create a false reality to boost their ego. This is what Korah did when he challenged Moses and Aaron, and we know how that turned out for him and his followers. For my Bar Mitzvah project, I helped organize a garage sale where the proceeds of the sale are being used to help fund the Mount Laurel Police Department K-9 unit. Even though they are working police dogs, the K-9 unit relies on donations for the upkeep of the dogs. The Mount Laurel Police and K-9s help keep our synagogues and schools safe. This day could not have been possible without the help from many people. Thank you, Rabbi Memes Fowler, for providing invaluable feedback to help me prepare for this day. Cantor Sandy for spending a lot of time helping me learn how to chant my Torah and Haftarah portion. Larry Marcus for helping me get organized for this ceremony. And finally, I'd like to thank my parents for making sure I stayed on track with my studying. Shabbat Shalom.
Mazel Tov, Micah and Phil and Kirsten and Carrick and grandparents and family and friends and everyone. It's all our Mazel Tov today, an honor to be here. And thank you, Micah, for leading us in prayer and reading Torah and Haftarah so beautifully and explaining your portion, teaching us an important lesson. Before we came in today, I said, oh, Korach, it's such a great portion. It really is. It speaks to us about rebellion and how we look at those who might challenge authority. And some people say, well, sometimes challenging authority is good, but in the case of Korach, he really was on the wrong side of history, as you explained to us. And in the portion, the earth opens up and swallows Korach and all his followers, and how you mentioned that this is even a parallel today. Ancient story, but still we see the parallels today. And there's a midrash that relates to the lesson that you taught us about Korach wanting all the power for himself. He wanted to be leader for his own benefit. So there's a midrash that says Korach challenges Moses regarding the commandment of putting, there was a tradition in the Torah of putting a blue thread on your talit. And we get that because that's right before the Torah portion Korach starts, the last thing that's said in last week's Torah portion was about putting fringes on the four corners of your garment, and one of them says you should have a blue thread on. So Korach challenges Moses and says, what about a garment that's itself all blue in color? Since it's all blue, wouldn't it be exempt of needing to put that blue thread on one of the fringes? And Moses said, we're still commanded to put the blue thread on. So you might ask, well, why today, if those of you who are wearing talit? Does anybody have the blue thread on yours? I'm just checking talitot. Many of us don't, because they say that blue techelet, that exact color, comes from the ink of a certain snail, and so people have tried to reproduce it, but many people don't have it today, because we don't know what it looks like. But Moses tells Korach, no, just because the whole garment is blue doesn't mean we shouldn't have it. And Korach says, a garment which is all blue is not exempt for 4 meager threads and 4 meager threads do the trick. And then Korach attacks Moses again and says, you have a whole room full of Torah scrolls. Does that room need a mezuzah on the door? So we read in, when you chanted and led us in the V'ahavta this morning, you led us in that commandment, it shall be on the doorposts of your house, al mezuzot beitecha, on the doorposts of your home. So Korach challenges, you have a whole room full of Torah scrolls. Does it need a mezuzah? And Moses says yes. And Korach says, the Torah contains 275 sections, like sheets, and they are not enough to fill the house's obligation to have a mezuzah, but these 2 little sections, so in the mezuzah is a scroll, and on the scroll are 2 Hebrew paragraphs, and those 2 sections are going to fulfill the commandment for the entire house. Moses, you must be making this stuff up. You can see that Korach is pretty defiant, he's a little bit sarcastic, and he doesn't get the essence of what the commandments are. When commentators over the years are describing Korach, they say his arguments aren't what they call l'shem hashamayim, for the sake of heaven. In Korach's arguments, he's not putting God into the formula, whether it's the techelet, the blue thread, or the mezuzah. Because what are these 2 commandments? When you look at your fringes, as we were commanded last week, it's a reminder. When you look at the threads, the fringes, you look at what are symbolic of the mitzvot. And when you pass through a doorway and you see the mezuzah, some people have the custom of touching the mezuzah and kissing it, that's also acknowledgement of God's presence. And Korach did not have any connection of God's presence. His desire for power, as you mentioned, was for his benefit. Korach didn't have God's presence in mind, but Moses did. And Moses was chosen as leader of the Jewish people in part because he understood the centrality of God, of the sacredness of the mitzvot and of leading the Israelites and embracing God's commandments. Micah, as you become bar mitzvah today, I can see that you too understand and embrace the sacredness of this occasion, of God's presence, and I see you as a future leader in the Jewish community. I think you have the right personality and character traits. You've begun this path by serving as one of our office helpers in the office on Sunday morning during religious school, and I don't know if you've yet signed up, but I would plant a seed for you to consider becoming one of our madrachim. You are smart, you are determined. As anyone who has watched Micah over the past several months knows just how determined you are navigating not just your bar mitzvah studies, but navigating your physical mobility. You've straddled that line of independence and dependence, acknowledging when you need help from another person, like maybe getting pizza, going through the line at dinner at teen night, and being able to express gratitude for someone helping you and others who have assisted you along the way. Micah, you're someone who's laid back and flexible, honest and loyal, especially with your family and friends, and you have a good sense of humor. I and so many who have assisted you on this path to becoming a bar mitzvah today are really proud of all your accomplishments, and I hope that you are too. So as a way of giving thanks to God, who has given us life, who has sustained us all these years and enabled us to reach this special occasion, I invite your brother Kerrick to come up to the bima at this time to lead us now in the blessing of Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, shehekianu v'kiyamanu v'hegianu, lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, for keeping us alive, for taking care of us, and for allowing us to reach this special day on my brother's bar mitzvah.
Amen. And so, Micah, I'm going to call you back up to the bima, along with your parents, for them to offer this parent's blessing.
What I wish for our son, I wish for all our children. I wish for you to be a person of character, strong but not tough, gentle but not weak. I wish for you to be righteous but not self-righteous, honest but not unforgiving. Whenever you journey, may your steps be firm, and may you walk in just paths and not be afraid. Whenever you speak, may your words be words of wisdom and friendship. May your hands build and your heart preserve what is good and beautiful in our world. May you know that there is a people, a rich heritage to which you belong, and from that sacred place you are connected to all who dwell on the earth. May the stories of our people be upon your heart, and the grace of the Torah rhythm dance in your soul.
We turn now in our prayer books to page 374. Page 374. As we're able, we rise as we return the Torah to the ark.
It is a tree of
Life to the middle bus to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom. may God bless you and may God's radiance shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God's presence be with you always and give you peace. We remain standing as we turn now to page 586. Page 586. At the bottom of the page, we continue with words of Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach ha'adon hakol, lateit gedula li'aseh reshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'kishkakot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahen, v'kor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachvim u'modim lifnei melech melchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'ema v'haya Adonai v'melech al kol haaretz hayom hahu hayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo 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 echad.
Our thoughts and prayers turn now to those who are no longer with us, and so we turn in our prayer books to pages 598 and 599. As we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us during this period of Shiva and Shloshim, we honor the memory of Paz Medel Lutz, Jerry Goldman, father of Ricky Goldman, Meraldo, and Mark, grandfather of Jules and Dylan, as well as those who died at the season in years past, whose yahrzeits we mark on the Shabbat. Esther Davis, Victor DeMol, Jules Denberg, Arnold Gash, Ethel Goldis, Sarah Hurwitz Tresky, Abe Kimmel, Celia Kornbluth, Cynthia Kramer, Bill Krasen, Frank Lasella, Ted Lorber, Jack Lutz, Robert Oppenheimer, Gina Rosen-Orient, Louis Rubenstein, Robert Seidel, Faye Solomon, Alexandra Singer, Lou Strumwasser, Donna Walter, and those close to the Aronow family, thinking especially today of Marvin Aronow, as well as those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. If you're joining us through the blessing of technology and have a loved one name you want to add to the chat or comments, you can do so at this time. If there are others in your life who are no longer with us, and you want to add their names aloud today, please do so as my hand passes through the congregation. Zichronam Levracha. May their memories be for blessing, as we continue now with the words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, v'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya, Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'riachu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, amen. You may be seated, except for Micah. Come on up again. So Micah, I know we met before the services and you received some gifts in the form of certificates. These are some more gifts you're going to be receiving today. And these are from your synagogue board of trustees, the men's club, and the sisterhood. And so the three gifts that I'm handing to you now are a kiddush cup, candlesticks, and a book on the doorposts of your house. The book has in it different prayers and readings that reflect on holidays and life cycle events. And so when you use these articles on Shabbat and festivals and take the book off your shelf and use it in times to come, I hope that you'll reflect back and see the meaning and memory of today as you use them. So those are for you. And we turn now, you can just put them in here, as we welcome your family back onto the bima, and we continue with our closing song, which is on page 657, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu.
And we invite the family to come over.
Stand by.
And if you're not familiar with the song and the words are challenging, there is a clapping section, so if you're not comfortable with the text, you can always clap.
Micah, as you lead us in Kiddush and Motzi this morning, I just want to note that this Kiddush cup is a gift from the confirmation class that Carrot celebrated his confirmation just a few weeks ago.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, v'te'avon
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.